exercise dominance. Welcome back to T3, that Thursday thing. I'm Mr. U. Herb is in the house. Shane is on assignment tonight, and we have a special guest and friend of the show coming in momentarily. Brother, how are things going in your neck of the woods, man?
I'm good. I don't know if you can hear the alert. My phone just alerted me that T3 has started. So it also told me that you need to be muted, but that was that last alert. I said, YouTube sending me alerts to the show start. I appreciate you, YouTube. I appreciate it. Good looking out.
I don't keep YouTube open when because I hear double everything and it's really off-putting. But yeah, it's all good though. Glad you're good, man. And thanks for everybody that's joining us and watching the show for the first time, the second time, or the ninth time. We appreciate you guys. Lady Alpha is in the house. What's up with you, ma'am? Hope all is well in your neck of the woods out there. Thanks for jumping on with us today. We got a lot that we're going to get into. I think we're going to probably have a few topics and just really break them down. That's what that's going to be taking place tonight. But just make sure that nobody is sending me an SOS text right now.
I'm looking in the group. I don't see anything, sir.
It's time to get.
I think all the important people are here. I guess that's what it is.
Don't start nothing that won't be there. I don't want that life for you.
Hey, my middle name is Chaos and Confusion. So.
I don't want that life for you, man. Don't do it. Don't do it to you. But what about let's kick it off with free agency. I know that the first week was mega for everybody. I know for me personally, I was pumped. My TV normally, because I'm reading and do other things, my TV doesn't even come on to like 5 or 6 o'clock p.m. on a weekday. My TV was on at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm glued to Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter. I'm like, it died down real quick.
Yeah.
Now we getting depth signings going out, and a couple of guys that are known names that we thought they would get signed sooner. But I want to get into that sometime at this point in the show where we're going to get into the guys that are still left. But overall thoughts about free agency, how you feeling about what you saw? Anything that blew your mind, jumped out at you? Anybody whose name is not in the conversation that you're like, I'm surprised nobody's thinking about him, or anything like that? What you got?
So for the better and for the worse, for the better, now whether it works out or not, I don't know. But I kind of like Washington going for it, to try and take advantage of having their young quarter. Oh, there's Travis.
Evening, sir.
Hello, sir.
Friend of the show.
Hello, sir.
Guest co-host tonight, Travis D. Holmes, BigCatCountry.com. Fans First Sports Network.
I told him my apologies for my delayed entrance, kind sirs. I couldn't find the link. That's all. I just found it.
Man, no, don't do that. I said
it was on me. It was on me. You sent that thing to me a week ago.
I will not be besmirched.
But I was waiting for it, and then I realized, wait a minute, I think I have it somewhere. Oh man. So I had to start searching for it and figure it out. My bad, y'all.
See, when Mr. U's excited about you coming on, he creates the link like a month ago. I usually get the link like 2 minutes before we get on the show.
Now you need to quit. Stop that line. I send it out every Monday. Everybody gets it every Monday. You know better.
I'm just telling you, Trevor, you're a star.
Every Monday. So every Monday, don't even do that.
Yeah. But before we got on the air, he was like, "Hey, Herb, don't get in Travis's way tonight. I need you to just calm down, let him carry the show, and be the star that he is." I said, "Yes, sir."
I thought that's what he said. I thought that's what he said to you. I'm confused right now, but it's all good though. But we're talking free agency, what jumps out, what you like, didn't like, just overall personally of how free agency went. The first week was baller. Okay. We were all glued to our TV sets, excited, phones ringing off the hook all day, all night. And then next week, wah, it was just quiet. Depth signings and little big pickups here and there.
I honestly think teams, and I feel like most teams across the NFL came to the same conclusion this week. They were like, oh, them the prices? Oh, inflation hit the NFL too? Nah, man, we ain't doing that. Like, I feel like every team hit that same point within 24 hours. It's like,
but they got to increase cap.
Talking?
Yeah, they got to increase cap. That will help them.
Hey, have you seen the price of a quarterback and a wide receiver these days? Like,
yes, sir. I have.
They eating that cap up quick.
At least folks understood. Hey, man, all right, the wide receivers are going to be one price. The quarterbacks are going to be one price. But I think folks had this understanding. Well, the guard market might be a little bit,
Hold on. Before you get to the guard market, what? This man is just on another level out here.
Yeah,
what is this? What is this? Chateau?
You didn't see the waitress just drop it off for him? That's some Chardonnay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, my wife delivers wine to me randomly. This is what happens.
We at the Chateau. What's happening up in here? This is like
Chateau Le
Blanc. You classed the whole joint up. It was just me in here gutting it out doing NFL stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't even his wife that brought it over. That was Trevor Lawrence himself that dropped it off. So
my wife, she be out there trying to pair chocolates with wine, like legitimately different types of dark chocolates with different types of wines, just to get me acclimated to these types of things, and I'm here for it, bro. That's kind of like I'm looking for.
I feel like I'm back in culinary school. This is all right.
Do we call you Sir Travis or just Travis? Which one do you?
He's been knighted. So he's been knighted. So you got to call him, by his.
Don't do me like that. That's all the wife. She's trying to pull me into this century. That's what this is. I'm the caveman that she is pulling into this culture life.
A lot of our wives.
Brother, go ahead and enjoy your Merlot, swirl it around. You do you. I'm good with that. You talk about the guard market though. How do you feel about that? Because we definitely could have used a guard off of the street out here, and I don't think we're going to get one like that unless.
But that's the thing, though, man. And I think because we've talked about this for years, man. That the NFL across the board has an offensive line problem because a lot of the guys in college now with the NIL money and the transfer portal and everything else they may stay one extra year. They may stay 2 extra years because they feel a little bit more comfortable having a few dollars in their pocket instead of out here struggling. So now you having like lighter drafts where most of the guys who are now 5th, 6th round draft picks probably, realistically would have been undrafted free agents in previous classes. Like, that's just what it is. So the talent level is kind of going down in the league where it's taking a little longer for guys to come out, and you having an offensive line problem because there's just not enough of these big athletic guys, and it's causing the elite guys to get paid like even tackle, like even guards. Like elite guys are really getting paid some serious money, and everyone wants the young, cheap guy. Like every team. So now you have like 10, 15 teams right now that's looking for guards when it used to be like, all right, 5 teams who for sure are going to draft them. Not everybody wants cheap. Everybody wants that. So they have an offensive line problem, no different than we have a quarterback problem in the league right now.
Yeah. And you made a good point with the college part of it. The NIL, what's really happening is guys who shouldn't be starting in college, there should be a depth piece on one team, are going to another to chase the money. So they're starting earlier than they actually should start. And then the same thing with the NFL. So now you're like, well, I need a guard. And here's a guy that was okay with, the Eagles or whoever you want to say. Now we're going to have to pay him extra just to get him to be here and be a starter. What should he really be? A backup. But now we got to move because we don't have the depth pieces and they don't have the depth pieces. So it all starts there because, like you said, it's perfect, man. People are staying in college an extra year that normally would come out, but they're also not there. They're rushing their experiences in college. So you're not getting a good product sometime when you get to NFL because they're like, look, what would be the best for you this year? Sit behind this guy one more year and really learn the game. Or Florida State said they'll give you $1 million to come start next year, even if you're not ready. And it's a total different go. So,
even if Florida State don't give you the $1 million, this car dealership up the street in Tallahassee absolutely will.
Yep. And so should you be starting at that position you're at Florida State who's running a totally different offense than what you've been learning and what you've been doing? No. But are you going to chase the money? Yeah. And can I fault the kid? I mean, I wish I was 18 and somebody was throwing $1 million at me. I'd be like, North Dakota State? I've always liked North Dakota.
$1 million? I would take my black behind to Northern Michigan. I would go to Antarctica if you're going to pay me $100,000.
They ain't got no team out there. They ain't got no team out there.
I heard they recruit.
You can recruit me for bobsledding, for ice skating. I don't care, bro. You give me
I know for a fact that's not true. Cause you live in sunny Florida. When that cold hits you,
you forget.
You change your whole mind.
You see this jersey behind me?
I don't care what's going on
I'm
around
gonna tell you right
That's
now.
Northern Michigan. That is Northern Michigan University.
That's
I
a long
went there.
time
I
ago.
played for them. I coached for them.
That's a long time ago.
100 grand
That's
will buy you a lot of shirts and a lot of sweaters. Like,
that long
I
time.
promise you.
That long time ago.
I
Now,
promise you.
you don't know. No, I did that for what as a GA making $19,000 a year. I did that for 19. You think I won't be butt naked in Alaska for 100? Come on.
Now
bro.
wait a minute. We talking about. I'm
with
even
him, though.
thinking
That's
about
like to
the
my
image is
point,
not going to work for me, brother. I'm so sorry.
I just blocked it out.
Yeah, I didn't get there fast enough, but
the point is still valid. For the money, people will go anywhere. They'll get into the wrong, situation for it, and then it's just a trickle down or trickle up effect, however you want to look at it from that point on. So I just think you have a lot of inexperienced guys who, I mean, look at the draft right now. There's all the time they look in the first round like we're going to reach for this guy. But man, it would have been better if he had just stayed another year or if he had gone into this system or stayed with this person. But college isn't for development anymore. It's for money. So you're missing that a lot.
I kind of want to get into some of that because I think I'm kind of curious about. I don't have anybody that's. I shouldn't say that. I'm a backtrack off of that whole sentence going all the way back to the beginning. I ain't gonna say none of that. All right. Well, what I want to say today is I love to hear some intelligent ideas about how you guys view free agency, because people who on social media, it's like, oh, my team should have got that. Oh, this team overpaid. Okay, those narratives been going on for how many years now? It's old and played out now. But I want to hear some intelligent thoughts from you guys about how you view free agency as a whole, based on what you guys just highlighted just now, and you think overall it's went well. Teams have done the right smart things, or I can't ask the straight up fans because they don't have they got blind spots. Mm-hmm. All this is my team didn't get so and so, he was right there. They could have paid him that much. They don't understand some things about things they don't understand. They know what they don't know, and they don't know what they don't know. So I want to ask you guys overall.
So I want to let her go first because I think I have some strong opinions on this one. So I don't know how. Okay, yeah.
Well, I'll say something that general, not about specific teams. But one of my problems always with free agency and what a lot of these GMs do is I feel like their plans are too much year to year and never like, how do we get a 3-year plan to get this team back to where we want? And I feel like a lot of them, either A, there's a disconnect with them and the coach, or B, they're like, I got to save my job this year. So these are the signings I'm going to do this year. So if my team is won 4 last year, I got to figure out how to get them to 8. When maybe not signing some of these guys and going for the cheap one more year and getting a good draft pick and pushing it another year is the best thing. But I think too many of these guys are like, I got to save my job. I got to do whatever I can. So I'm going to sign a mediocre team because it shows improvement. But the contracts I'm giving out is going to keep this team mediocre for the next 2 or 3 years. And then I also see like it's the case of like the Cowboys and the Bengals. Some of these guys, just pay your guys early and get ahead of some of this stuff, and you would be avoiding the problems that you're seeing right now. And I know the Bengals was one that we want to talk about later, but had y'all addressed some of this? Because we know how the NFL is. Nobody wants what they're worth. They want more than what the last guy got. And that's how all your contracts end up getting based. So I just don't feel like a lot of these guys are far-seeking. And then it's kind of like, okay, this team messed up. Are we blaming the coach or blaming the GM? Who's getting fired? Who's staying? It's too much of that. I just don't see enough long-term planning going on.
Do you have a 3-year plan in your mind? Like you were saying, if you were GM, you would do this. Do you have something you can lay out for our listeners that can kind of crystallize it for them? What's a 3-year look like? A 3-year plan look like to you? Yeah, something like that.
Well, I don't want to, because one of the teams is a little personal to somebody, so I don't want to say it.
Oh, man, go ahead. Just say it, man.
If you were in the market for a quarterback this year, and this is a weak quarterback draft, I would not reach for a quarterback. If I had a high pick, I would probably trade back. I would collect some more assets, and I would just say, look, we're going to be bad next year. The quarterback market will be better next year, but there's no sense in me chasing, like a Sam Darnold or whatever, that was out there at that time to pay him good money to maybe win us a few more games. Because the difference between winning 3 games and winning 8 games is huge as far as your draft capital for the next year. So those would be a couple of the teams that, like, no offense, but the Giants, like, I wouldn't trade up to get one of these guys. I wouldn't reach for one of these guys. If you're not sure on either one of these two, I'm not picking a Midland quarterback just to get by.
Does your 3-year scenario, does it matter how long said team has been losing. Did that factor into the 3-year scenario at all, or
So
doesn't matter?
that's y'all. That's the problem. There is if the GM has already been there 5 years and they're still in the middle of the rebuild,
Yeah.
they should be fired. And it got to it has to go to somebody else. But if your GM's already been there 5 years and you're still in the middle of a 5-year rebuild with 3 more years, then that guy's not the guy. Like he didn't have a plan at the beginning, and you can't expect in year 5 because here's what happens: those guys get desperate. So, like I said, they're like, we got to win 8 or 9 games this year and show some progress. Okay, but if I sign that guy next year, my pick is worse. I haven't served. If you don't have a quarterback in this league, you don't have anything. Like the days of like getting by with a Trent Dilfer are just not here anymore. So if you don't solve that problem, when we did our 5-pack, what did I always say? Start with your quarterback. If the team didn't have a quarterback, they were my choice for a possible rebuild.
Every time
you see that play out over and over. So if you can't solve that problem first, I don't like the other stuff that's going on.
That's fair. Go ahead, Trav. You got something to bring in here? Come on.
Yeah, unfortunately, I disagree with Herb on that one. I actually agree with everything else that he said until the end, until that last statement. As far as the quarterback having to be the thing that's resolved first. I actually think that with a lot of teams, if you can get that quarterback resolved, if you are able to draft well up front, you can figure the quarterback situation out. With the NFL, if it's shown us nothing else, it's shown us if you have an innovative play caller and you have an average to above average quarterback and a great supporting roster, you're going to be a 10-win team. You're going to be a 11-win team. You're going to be the Colts. You're going to be the Steelers. You're going to be like the Steelers ain't had a good quarterback play since Ben Roethlisberger was 3 years younger than his retiring age. Like. And they still were consistently in the playoffs. So, like, from that perspective, I'm like, no. Are you a good drafting team? Do you have a good coach? And that's where all my issues start with the NFL. So, in
can
general,
I say something on that one real quick? Because I talked a lot. I'm going to make this real quick.
Go ahead.
My problem with the Pittsburgh, because I love Pittsburgh. I love Tomlin. But they're an average team. They're going to be right in the middle. Never good enough to beat the Super Bowl and never bad enough, like to miss the playoffs or be terrible. But they would solve the
GM's dream, though. Oh, sorry, that's an owner's dream. That is an owner's dream.
I guess I'm just thinking like if they would solve the quarterback issue, then yeah. But you're absolutely right, and I disagree on the rest of them. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, man. At the end of all of it, like that's an owner's dream. Like I've said this for 4 or 5 years at this point because one of the guys in the league that I talked to said this, and I've never forgotten it. He's like, dude, you don't understand. I've heard multiple owners say, like this is what he's telling me. He's like, I've heard multiple owners say out loud. Hey,
I know what you're going to say.
If we can just consistently get to the playoffs, I'm happy. I don't care if we're in the Super Bowl. I need to be consistently in the playoffs, and if we get hot one year, then that's fine. Basically, you're the Trent Dilfer-led Baltimore Ravens. So that's the goal for a lot of teams. That's the goal for a lot of teams. It's not to be a Super Bowl champion. It's because that can sometimes be lucky. That can be a little fluky depending on the situation. But if you're consistently there, the seats are filled, the fans are off your back. They're not talking about you on the socials, and you can brag to your billionaire friends. Everybody's happy. That's the goal for these billionaires. So if you're the owner, I'm saying, hey, man, just get me a solid. If you're a solid drafting GM, just get me a solid supporting cast. We're automatically going to be 500 or better. And then if you land on the quarterback, hey, man, now we're cooking. Now we got the Kansas City Chiefs. Now we got, a dynasty. Now we got the Philadelphia Eagles, etc. Because they did that. They got the supporting cast and got the quarterback developed a little bit, but they figured it out in that way. So that's my point is I'm looking from that more of a perspective of you have to have some alignment between that coach and that general manager because the philosophy of the team on many teams is now becoming from the coach, not the GM. The GM's actually working for the coach. So if you have a bad coach, then the GM's gonna look bad anyways because I'm supporting your philosophy and your philosophy sucks. And I don't know who I'm drafting. I'm just pulling guys together in my vision, but my vision don't match yours. Then that's a problem. But in the other teams, you have where the GMs that lead, like in Pittsburgh, like for the Ravens, like you have those situations where the GMs are doing a really good job because they have an identity, which I think was I think that was your original point is you have to have a vision 3 years out. You have to have an identity no matter what you look like. Baltimore's team is going to look exactly like this. They're going to look exactly the same. They know exactly what they're looking for. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Same thing with KC. They just know what they're looking for. So that's the identity coming from the GM. But all teams don't have that. So so your 3-year process, your 3-year outlook needs to come from either that coach or that GM. But if you don't have it because you're trying to save your job, that's when you start getting into trouble. That's when you start making bad decisions. That's when you're in these streets naked, trying to barter for money on the corner. That's what it is. I know they always naked in the
somebody
street.
naked again. Somebody naked again already.
Hey man, that's how I consider when you broke and you struggling. That's butt naked and naked. That's
man,
naked struggle.
I'm from the hood. You know, I understand the term, but naked in less than 20 minutes. That's that Merlot talking, man. But come on,
That's it, bro.
Talk to me about you're talking about free agency. You had some strong thoughts you wanted to share. You wanted to be last on that, man. Well, you are. Let's go. What you got?
Again, free agency is for plugging holes. Like, you should generally not be a guy who's out here in these streets putting your cap up against the top. Putting your cap against the top just to say what? I got the 500, maybe. And then the next year, you're going to be back down to winning 5 games, because that's almost historically how it happens. Like, you might be a game above 500, and then after you no longer have that 4th place schedule because you were a bad team, now you actually have to show that you're a good team consistently, and you can't do it. No, you build through the draft. You plug through free agency. So normally the best teams who already have solid rosters are going to be the ones who can take these chances on a Christian McCaffrey trade or a Jalen Ramsey trade, because you know where your roster is. You know you're at the point where you can, if I trade for this guy, I might be in the Super Bowl. All right, cool. Then you take that chance because you know you've drafted good enough to support that opportunity that's there. But if you're a team who is not good at drafting, you just prolong it, right? You prolong in this situation because you're prolonging your firing. And to Herb's point, you're prolonging your firing. You obviously see that you've been bad at bat. You're a bad gambler. That's what it is. These flops keep coming and you keep losing, and you're just like, well, if I can just stay in this game long enough, maybe I hit a Brian Thomas Jr. This hit me in my heart. This is talking about the Jaguars. Yeah, if I can just stay in this game long enough, maybe I hit a Brian Thomas Jr. I can trade back and get lucky enough, and oh yeah, now we in this. Nah, you still sorry. You just got one good pick, but you're still a bad GM overall. That's how it is, man. But these boys trying to save their jobs.
It's a sickness, bro. It's a sickness. But no, I can relate.
It's gambling. That's what it is.
It is. I can say a whole bunch about my team, what I think they're doing. You know what I'm saying? But in regards to free agency, man, I feel as though they did exactly what you said. They plugged, because our depth was so bad last year. I mean, I ain't gonna spend too much time talking about our depth. It was brutal. You know what I'm saying? But they spent almost the entire free agency plugging those holes, getting guys that are versatile that play 3 or 4 different places on the line, and plug them in there. Their depth, I don't ever think they're going to start, and I'm okay with that. Go ahead and get depth, and we can get so-called day one starters out of the draft. We got enough capital to make that happen, so that makes sense to me. As far as the most enticing free agent targets that are left, I had a whole list. Share with you guys pre-show, and look at some of them already got filled already. But we got Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Russell Wilson, Keenan Allen. Nick Chubb is not signed yet. He's expected to go to Denver, but he hasn't signed yet that I know of. Julian Blackmon, I think you know him very well. Well, he's heard of him. Brandon Scherf, Justin Simmons, whose name's has been out here to pass. How many offseason we were talking about Justin Simmons? Like 2 offseasons. So what's going on with him? And Asante Samuel Jr. are the best things I can find that are free agent available. J.K. Dobbins went to the Browns, which kind of shocked me. Like, okay, I'm trying to understand. If any notification I see when somebody's going to the Browns, I'm like, okay, did you? Besides Miles Garrett, he was after the money. We all know that's what it was. It was about the bag. It wasn't because Cleveland was so cool and they will win Super Bowl sometime soon. No, it was about the bag. But everybody else, besides that, not named Miles Garrett, when they go to Cleveland, I'm like, what you trying to do? J.K. Dobbins, he left LA. I mean, they didn't want him back, and I can understand why. Left Baltimore for the same reason. Now he's going to Cleveland.
I mean,
to do what?
He has a chance to get
to do what?
Serious playing time. To get I'm not saying
playing
to dominate.
Playing time ain't the problem. Playing time ain't the problem.
Oh, then what's the problem? Playing time ain't the problem.
Staying healthy.
Well, that's
so you're on a new team every year.
If you're already in the NFL, let's keep it. If you're in the NFL already, you're the 1% of the 1%. You have to have a belief in yourself that does not match common logic. That does not match our logic to who you are, because that's how you made it there in the first place, right?
It don't. Make me believe in Cleveland because I don't believe in nothing that they got
Oh,
going
you ain't
on.
gotta
Miles
believe in
Garrett is
Cleveland. What I
you
believe,
know?
if I am J.K. Dobbins, what I believe has nothing to do with the Cleveland Browns, have nothing to do with anything other than the fact that they lost Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. They had 500 yards rushing last season. So I think there's an opportunity for me to get some tape out there, for me to get a bag after I have just one good season of 1,000 yards if I can stay healthy. That is a positive spot for me to be in. That's it. Like that's the opening I need because most of these teams, like they probably gonna draft the guy. Don't get me wrong, but you might be able to hold the rookie off. Like that I can see something like that. So from that perspective, I'm like, nah, man. He found the opening to maybe open the door to him getting the bag in 2027 or 2026. I don't have a problem with that.
Them first two teams was it, man? Those were I'm going to call them elite spots, but it don't get a whole lot better than Baltimore and the Chargers as it
Yeah,
pertains to what.
but he had injuries. He can't change that piece. So if he can stay healthy in this one season, go crazy this all season working out and just fingers crossed you can pull a Saquon Barkley and actually be healthy in that final season, and then they might pay you the next year. Like that's what it is. Saquon was injured every year, but then all of a sudden you just get me that one good healthy season where I play through them small injuries and play 17 games, and folks gonna look at you a little different. That's all.
And the last guy's your boy Cam Robinson. 1 year deal to the Texans.
Yes, Lord.
Are
Yes,
you
Lord.
going? Are you really upset about that? I'll get some tissue for you if you're really really upset about it. Are you all right? You gonna make
God
it?
work. That ain't nothing but God. They don't put Cam Robinson right back in the AFC South. Like he's a former Jacksonville Jaguars left tackle for anybody who don't know, and he went to he was traded to the Minnesota Vikings in the 2023 season, basically because he refused to come into a game after losing his spot to Walker Little on the sideline during I believe it was the Green Bay Packers game, something like that. So basically, the Vikings ended up trading for him to finish their season off. And I said 23-3, I meant 2024 last year. And so, yeah, he has obviously some feelings towards the old Jacksonville Jaguars coaching staff, but you can pick that up.
He'll be all right.
But in the game that Minnesota, after being traded to Minnesota Vikings, he ended up leading the league in pressures given up in the Vikings season. And so that lets you know exactly the kind of player that we're talking about. He's a starting level left tackle, sure. He's the kind of guy who's going to buy you a year from having to draft a guy. He's a fine stopgap in that way. But Josh Hines Allen had a career game against him for the Vikings. As a Jaguars fan and supporter and someone who covers the team, from all the perspectives, I'm ecstatic for that signing for the Houston Texans because C.J. Stroud is going to be running for his life anytime they play against the Jaguars. Like he's not that type of player.
Anybody else.
Yeah, Cam Robinson is the type of guy who is going to struggle with any of the top third of edges in the NFL. Like not top half. Like I mean, again, he's solid against top half, but you get to the top third of the people, maybe a Josh Hines Allen, who's someone who's top 10. Yeah, that ain't what you want, bro. That ain't what you want. But I'm for a Jaguars person who hates the Houston Texans. Oh yeah. Y'all can have him. Congratulations.
And we got a few pieces of information. Looks like Nick Chubb is expected to join the Broncos. He's trying to get some back so he can let Javonte go. We see how that go. Keenan Allen is expected to go to the Raiders. Not quite sure. That can go a couple of different ways. I think it's really more about Pete Carroll than anything. It can't be about Geno, but I don't know what's happening with that. Amari Cooper and Stephon Diggs are being sought after, if you will, by the New England Patriots. I'm going to kind of stop there for a second and ask you about that. If they got one or either of them with all the work they did, because I think they had the most money in free agency, and they spent it. They spent a good chunk of it. Are these guys due for a quick turnaround, in your opinion? If they do get Diggs or Cooper, even if they don't,
the New England Patriots, in my personal opinion, are doing the exact same thing that the Tennessee Titans did with Will Levis last year. Like I think they literally are taking that offseason playbook and saying, all right, cool, we're going to do the exact same thing. So they have a guy at quarterback who they think might have the tools, but they're not 100% sold on, especially with the new coach coming in. And they're going to be like, all right, cool. I need to know if he's the guy. What's going to let me know if he's the guy? All right, cool. We're going to sign some top receivers. We're going to give him no excuses. So that way we will know for sure with this new quarterback friendly class that's coming up in 2026. If we don't have the guy, we can get off the roller coaster ride really quickly. Because that's exactly what the Tennessee Titans did. I said it when they signed these older guys, and I was like, oh, they can get off this contract in a year. Oh, they can get off that contract in 2 years. Oh, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what the Patriots are doing right here. They want to know for sure, hey, is this going to work out with Drake May? And if it ain't, I'll know by next year, and we're going to draft another guy.
I don't know if getting Cooper and Diggs, though, tells me anything. And I wouldn't have Diggs anywhere near a young quarterback that I was still trying to figure out. So
if you're doing it for 1 year, that's the goal. It's like they got Kendrick Bourne, and again, they have a lot of young guys.
And you got two guys who barely finished the year last year, though, too. So Diggs didn't, and Coop, that's my boy and all, but he wasn't present at the end of this year. So I'd rather draft you a young wide receiver and figure it out.
But they're not bottom of the NFL kind of guys, is my point. Skill set wise, not injuries and everything else, but skill set wise, they'll let you know if you have the guy. And that's my overall point, is whether or not they make it to past the full year, or they get injured 8 games in, whatever it may be. They have your locker room issues. You want to find out whether or not this quarterback, who's probably going to one day cost you $60 million, is going to work. Because if it's not, if it's not going to work, you get off the ride and you find a new young guy in a deep class next year. So I get your point. You don't want to mess up the locker room, but frankly, that locker room, 1/4 of that locker room is that quarterback contract. Like, just these are the guys who make this engine run. To your original point from the earlier segment, if the quarterback is what this thing is all built around, then you got to make sure you got the right guy, especially when this whole franchise is basing everything around Drake May. They've raving about this guy just from like 1 or 2 highlights a game, honestly.
They are doing that, and one of the things they're also doing is they're stacking up that O-line. They brought in Gary Bradbury. I think he was in Minnesota before this. Brought him in at center because they needed help there, because they released David Andrews. You remember him from the Super Bowl teams. They brought in Morgan Moses from the Jets to see that right tackle. They needed help there as well. Mike Onwenu was still there. I don't know what they expect to get from him, but it wasn't great. But they're definitely trying to protect Drake May without question. But there had to be a point for protecting him like this, to have all these guys here so you can throw the ball to who. So they got to get some wide receivers to help them out here. They can't rely on Kendrick. They can't rely on Kendrick Bourne and Jalen Pope to help them out, because that wasn't working last year. They got to bring some talent in. To her point, bringing in Diggs, it could be a challenge. It depends on where he's at. Is he even healthy enough to come there and be helpful?
That's a good point.
Come off a big injury.
Diggs out there hopping around one leg, yelling, "He ain't getting the ball enough."
That's a big thing. Cooper was injured too, but I don't think it's the same kind of injury, so that he may be the more favorable, more pleasant look of the two. But they're definitely trying to build around Drake May, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get some guys on the O-line to challenge guys like Mike Onwenu and some other guys that have some challenges in the draft. So we'll see how that goes, man.
And they're probably going to draft the guy also, no matter what happens.
Yeah,
that's what I really think they should do.
Well, a guy.
And I don't mind one of those, and I don't mind them getting a vet wide receiver at all. My argument's mostly around Diggs. They brought in Coop and drafted another guy. I'd be cool with that. But
they're going to draft another wide receiver. Yeah. Man, look at the depth chart.
I think if they got Coop and still drafted a guy, they would probably be in a good spot.
Yeah, I like that better. I like that
depth chart. That depth chart's not. There was never a question.
I didn't think they had a wide receiver depth chart. I thought they just got rid of that position years ago and just been floating whatever they want out there.
If you look at it, you see what it is. It's not cute, and it's not Drake May's fault. It's just these guys. They're not. The talent level is not really there. I mean, no offense to them, but so
right.
If this happened, do you think these guys are going to be players in the NFC East? No, AFC East. Excuse me. You think these guys are going to be players with all the money they're putting into this? Because right now, they probably expect to just kind of be marginally better than they were last year. I think they can be a little better than that, but what are your thoughts?
You know they're not. But the hope is that they can be around that 500 range, a game above, a game below. Because again, it's all based around, it's a new staff. They got no pressure on them. They probably don't feel like they're on the hot seat anyways. Their goal is to, again, find out what's happening with this quarterback, and is this going to work, and keep this bad boy exciting to keep these fans in these seats. If you can do that, you probably got to consider it a win. So if we're talking playoffs, like, nah, we ain't talking that. But we just saying, like, hey, can they be here?
I'm not saying all that, man. Did I say the word playoffs?
I know.
I said marginally improved. That could be 8 wins, 9.
Well, you said would they be a player in the division though? And
You
so
did say a player.
I mean, yeah, competitive. I mean, how good is the business going to be? I don't even know what that's going to look like.
well, I would still
12
pick
wins,
Buffalo to
13
win
wins.
it easily,
Yeah.
and I would probably pick Miami as my second best team. So they might not be
a
fourth.
train wreck, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. Miami might be a train wreck. At
I'm
this
sure.
point.
I'm sure the Pats would be happy to not be in the cellar. I'm sure they'd be happy about that. It'd be a
I got
market
questions. I
improvement.
got some serious questions on Miami because they seem the softest across the board. Defensive line, offensive line, the way that their scheme is, like, it's all about fast, but y'all ain't moving nobody, bro. Like, I don't know. They might truly have to blow that bad boy up after this year.
Yeah. Well, we don't
I
have
would say
time.
yes on that, except for the fact they just played Tua, so I don't know what they want to do.
I want to get into some Wilson and Rogers, but we ain't got time. I want to let Travis have some fun.
No, Rogers is happy, dude. I straight up asked him the question on our show. I said, "Will y'all win a Super Bowl with Tua?" He was like, "Herb, I don't think so." I was like, it was painful for him. I mean, look, Tua, he came from Alabama. That's our boy. But it's just not getting done in Miami. I think you're always going to be looking up at Buffalo. I think your best chance was maybe 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
To do it, and you fell apart on it. Like and there's a huge disconnect. The offense, they put a lot of resources into the offense. They don't get it done in crunch time. The defense kind of just grabs whatever they can, and then they don't protect you a certain time. It's just not. I don't know, man. It's just
you don't believe in Zach Wilson behind the suspect offensive line.
I mean, like I said, I love Tua, but you can't pay 50 some million for no playoff wins, right? I mean, that's just it's getting.
I agree with my friend
anyway.
Rod. The defense was trash, and I agree with him.
It was, but the worst. If you have your defense is trash and you're putting all your resources in the offense got to be consistent every single time out.
Bingo.
You can't have any lapse.
Yeah, because you're trying to outscore everybody, and
you have to, right?
Look, they can't.
I'll give the Bengals credit. Their defense was trash, but they put out, a probable MVP candidate in the quarterback and a Triple Crown winner at wide receiver. So their offense was trying their best to overcome the trash defense. So at least they had that. But
right, but that offense was not like you're saying that if you're built in that way, then your offense has to be pretty solid. They have to be up there. But Miami was 22nd in the league in scoring.
Oh no, that's what.
So it's not even.
Yeah, and that's my problem. You can't.
So it's not just defense
and be 22nd. No, that's what I'm saying. But most of the resources have gone to the offense, so they got to carry the team, and they're not doing it. So
new way. All right, Trash. So we want to get into a little AFC guy. I want to go into Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, but we ain't got time for it. So let's talk a little Jags here. AFC South. We don't have. You got to look. We don't have time for that.
I was just I want to get into Rodgers. I love Rodgers talk. That's fine.
I want Rodgers to go to Pittsburgh.
I tell you what. Let's do this. The time you take to talk about the Jags and AFC South will determine if we can talk about Aaron Rodgers.
All right,
green light, go.
All right, cool. Jacksonville Jaguars. They are basically copying, we'll say, the 2023-2022 Los Angeles Rams playbook, or you can even say the 2024 Washington Commanders playbook. We're not going to sign these huge free agents. We're going to actually just, like I said earlier, a lot of depth guys try to raise the floor, and this thing's going to be made or broken based on how well we draft. We're going to leave open holes with the understanding that we're going to draft guys in some of these spots. You just know walking into it, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to draft the wide receiver. Sometime in those first four rounds, you just have to know that walking into the draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to draft a safety. You just have to know that in the first 4 rounds. These are 2 positions that they're going to draft. They may draft a cornerback and they may draft a defensive tackle because there's some questions surrounding that piece. But the way that they've done free agency is kind of showing you that. And James Gladstone kind of indirectly, but kind of hinted at the same thing in his last presser. So he's been pretty upfront with how he is going to build his team. He's kind of said it pretty clearly. And so far in free agency, everything that he said originally has kind of matched his actions. I'm going to kind of go with that. Like, I originally had my thoughts that he was just like lying because this is what GMs and coaches do. Everybody got coach speak. But then seeing the actions and play out, I'm like, oh, I guess this dude's really upfront. It's what it is, until he shows me otherwise. So Jaguar, that's why I feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars as they currently stand. They drafted guys who are not top 10, not top third of the league, maybe even not top half of free agents in their positions. But there are guys who are NFL starting caliber who are not going to stop you from bringing a rookie in because that's how well they believe in their ability to draft after the 2022 and 2023 Los Angeles Rams drafts. They feel like we've shown you that we're really good at drafting. We're gonna do the same thing over here in Jacksonville. And I'm like, all right, ooh, prove it then. Show me. Quick enough for you?
I am amazed. I'm like, I thought you were gonna go ahead and run AFC South predictions, NFL draft targets. That man said we ain't doing none of that for the Jaguars. Okay, well, I'm gonna ask you one more question, then we can go ahead and get into our next topic, and we're gonna end the show with Rodgers. It's okay. We all good. So, confidence-wise, your confidence level for this team, based on what they're doing right now. I'm talking about management, expectations in the draft. You can add it into confidence level-wise. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. What's your confidence they're going to do it? I don't care about winning the Super Bowl. I'm talking about just building the team the right way.
Moving forward. Running the team the right way, I'm going to give them a 7. Well, running the team the right way, almost lost my trick. Running the team the right way, I'll give them an 8. I'm sorry, but confidence level is a different conversation.
Wow.
So,
really?
Oh no, they're running it the right way. They are running it. The process. I'm a fan of the process. The outcomes are a different conversation than the process.
That's fine.
But the process, no. We're doing it the right way. Like they're doing a lot of things that I was a fan of as far as how you would do it. Like if you say you're great at drafting and you're going to build this thing on drafting, cool. Show me then. But you better be right in how good you are. And if you don't want to spend money on your first year because you don't believe that the guy who just got fired at general manager built a good offensive line, built a good defensive line, built those trenches, and you don't want to waste all this money trying to rehabilitate what he built, and there's a reason he was fired, and you say, no, we need to take these guys out of the situation and we need to build up what we want it to look like. If you want to do that, I understand that, because if you don't like the GM, then you probably don't like the players that he brought in, right? They're very limited in some ways. I get you. So cool. So I would give the Jaguars a 7 so far in what they've done, because you are basing all of this grade. This is a curve test. This is a curve grade test. You're basing all of this grade, 90% of this grade, on the draft. So we just don't know what that's going to look like until the draft happens. So at this current moment in time, you plugged the holes that you claimed that you were going to plug, and you left purposeful openings for the NFL draft. Hit those picks, man. That's what it's going to come down to.
They got 8 picks this year.
I got 10 picks, I think. If my memory serves correctly, so I believe we have 21 picks over the next 2 years, which is the most in the league.
They got some comps this year. You got some comp picks this year?
No.
Sure.
Yeah, so like we got 10 picks, and I have a feeling they're gonna trade back if unless there's certain people on the board.
Yeah,
so
10 picks in the draft.
I truly feel like they really want to make sure that we are gonna build this bad boy through the draft, just like the Rams did, just like the Commanders did. And I'm like, all right, cool. So a lot of rookies gonna be contributing, and you know that walking into it. Okay. I'm on board with that. That's fine. So we don't have very many free agent targets right now, other than maybe a Calais Campbell, if they don't draft the guy at edge. And I say Calais Campbell because they need a third depth guy who was able to kind of rotate inside a defensive tackle.
Oh.
And Calais,
as long as he's rotational. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We got Josh Hines Allen and Trevon Walker as the 2 starting edges, so he'll be a third guy. But outside of somebody like that, I mean, they're going to be quiet. There's going to be nothing coming out of the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. So overall, the AFC South has not gotten very much better. I mean, in very many examples, they've gotten worse. Very happy about seeing that. Houston, Texas, we talked about them already. The fact that they are giving Stingley that great contract and basically guaranteed contract with $89 million of his $90 million contract is guaranteed. I'm like, oh Lord. All right, cool. We there now. Kirk Cousins at cornerback. All right, cool. Good job though. Gonna get your money, baby. Legend at the bank. But they get 3 of their offensive linemen are gone. They trade for another offensive lineman, I believe, from the Cowboys. They signed Cam Robinson. I was like, yo, y'all, is this what y'all doing? Are y'all revamping your whole line too? Oh yeah. CJ Stroud could be running from his life.
Oh, I knew you wasn't sad. I knew
Huh?
you wasn't sad about. I knew you wasn't sad about that whatsoever.
Oh yeah, I was ecstatic about that. So the AFC South will be another conference in turmoil, flipped upside down this upcoming season, and that's great if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, supporter, media person, because who don't like craziness that's going on and not being able to predict what's going to happen in your conference? Like that's fun.
Yeah,
But
the highlight of my life.
Yeah, but overall, the team makeup is going to be what it's going to be after the draft, because right now you can't really tell who the Jaguars are going to draft in those first 2 rounds. Like no one can, in the building, outside of the building, no one really knows. And I think that's kind of cool. But overall, we'll see what happens, man.
That's fair. I want you guys' thoughts on the Bengals, and then we're going to end the show out with your favorite boy in the whole world, Aaron Rodgers. I can't believe I'm saying that. But with the Bengals, we talked about this stuff on so many shows, including this one. My guy right here can attest to it. We talked about the Bengals constantly in the trenches. They spend money. The payroll showed that money went out, but it don't show that results came back.
Yeah.
And it's going on so many times. And now these people have the audacity. Burrow's in year 5. They got Chase multi-year. I think it's a 4-year deal for both of them. 4-year deal for Chase, 4-year deal for T. Higgins. So they locked in for 4. I think those are legit 4-year deals. I think they are. Because of their talent, it probably is. Probably some kind of 2 years and an out type of thing. It's probably a legit 4 years. Then they're trying to bring Henderson back, and he is angling for a 4 or 5-year deal himself. Probably at about 20-something, 25 per was the number I heard. So once you do this, when you have about 23 million in cap left, this team is going to be soft in the trenches again, wasting prime Joe Burrow's good years to come up short again. Tell me what you guys think about the move. I know that if you're the GM, you get Chase and Higgins, and you probably wouldn't think twice about it because these guys are help you win your fantasy league and they get you in the playoffs. They do both things for you. But besides that, what's your thoughts on this one? Go ahead, Herb. You got it, man.
I mean, I see what the thought process is, but again, you waited so late to where, and Bo, he put the graphic up yesterday that they're making more. The 3 of them make 115 million, and the entire defense is at 79. Like, you already saw last year what the case was, having no defense whatsoever out there, and now we're doubling down. Burrow has already missed 2 separate years, I believe, in his career. So you're putting a lot into his health. You're hoping Chase
2020 and 2024.
He won the Triple Crown last year, and he missed the playoffs. And now we're just doubling down on that because we waited. And I get that and I feel like the Higgins deal was because they tried Jermaine Burton out. Hopefully they could, move him in. And then Jermaine Burton was the same person in college that he was, and same person in the NFL that he was in college. And that didn't work out. So now, okay, I guess we're going to pay Higgins. And you're trying to keep Burrow happy. But I just don't think this ends well. I mean, you saw it last year and you missed the playoffs. And are they a dangerous team? Yeah, but that's a lot of money for 3 people. You better hope that all 3 of them play every game next year, that they produce every game next year. Like, that's a lot for 3 people. And for more than your entire defense, you can't tell me defense is going to be better next year, right? So we're just totally giving up on that side of the ball.
Yes.
I'm here for it, though. I had Chase on my fantasy team, so yes, I was very, very happy last year.
I know you were. That's why I mentioned it. All right, Trav, hold on one second. Hold on. Thanks, Bo, for coming in, man. Appreciate your brother. And that's probably because of the ACL. People not sure if he's fully healthy yet, so probably a big reason why. But go ahead, Herb. You can go ahead and finish up, man. Then
that's it. It's like I was one of the ones saying, if you're going to invest in your offense, you needed to get these deals done. And then I look back and I was like, okay, maybe I should just shut up from now on because that's a lot of money for 3 people. Man. I mean, I promise you, if Joe Burrow tears his ACL next year or any kind of injury, they're going to wheel him back out on the field. And he is going to have to play. Sprained ankle? Nah, you back out there. Chase, what you say? Look, give you this week. I need you on the field. That's just too much money.
I'm gonna say one thing real quick. Then Trav, you're gonna finish up the Joe Burrows. Bengals conversation, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into your boy and be closing the show out.
My boy.
Burrows, you said you live for him, so there you go. So Burrow, year 5, right?
Yeah.
4,611 yards, 4,475 yards, 4,918 yards. He's doing that with this. You got to give him. This is. I kind of just feel like it could be a precedent for it. We don't have time to do the research tonight, but I don't recall seeing somebody do this for 10, 15 years. Numbers like that. I don't recall seeing that. I see more of a balance from even some of the so-called greats that win Super Bowl. They have more of a balance, more balanced running game. They're not throwing 5,000 yards every year. This is not a sustainable approach to playing quarterback. And you got, I mean, you can't keep doing this. And they're not helping him by what they're doing,
right?
What they're putting around him. I mean, chasing it. Oh, you said, you know what? Chasing Higgins ahead now. They got their bag. What else they gonna want? You to throw them the ball a whole lot. But that might not be the strategy to help them win because they've been doing that already. I just highlighted it just now. 3 out of the last 5 years. The other 2 were because Burrow was injured. That's why he wasn't doing it again. It had been 5 straight years. He wasn't hurt. That's not sustainable. You got to have a balance because you're not beating the team that you need to be beaten doing it this way. So obviously it's not working. Bang your head against the wall 10 times and you're sitting here bleeding. What did I tell you? Don't bang it 11 times. Stop banging your head on the wall. Do something different. And they're not doing that. But go ahead, Trav.
This feels like the LeBron James built Lakers. Like this feels like
the whole show.
I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, like this. What this feels like. This feels like what happens when you give the guy who's at quarterback everything that he wants, and it's not actually what he wants. And I'm not saying that this is what Joe Burrow wants necessarily, but this feels a lot like that let Russ cook Seattle Seahawks kind of situation where you have a guy who's throwing for 4,700 yards, 4,500 yards, and everything else, and that's dope. That's cool. That's great. That looks great on paper. But what it don't look great on is your medical record, because that boy stays in that blue tent because he's always hurt because you don't have the resources to put into your offensive line to give you actual good blocking. You don't have the ability to put a real run game out there because your offensive line is bad. So so you basically just kind of leaned into it, got rid of your best running back because, well, I mean, we ain't gonna run the ball anyways. At this point, it's gonna be made or broken based on Joe Burrow's arm, like you said, which that ain't good, man. That's not. I love Chase Brown because I love Chase Brown. The best thing for Joe Burrow is building up an offensive line and actually establishing a running game and having him throwing for less than that 4,700 yards, maybe get you around that 42, 41, 4,000 yard mark where you can, whatever. My point is the range, whatever that range is, my point is actually controlling the ball and not having your quarterback taking all these hits, trying to play comeback and play hero ball later in the game.
Maybe keep your defense off the field every once in a while too. Be nice.
And keeping your defense off the field. So now
what's left of your defense.
So now the way that they built this bad boy, they've given themselves no breathing room for injuries, no breathing room for anything as far as free agency is concerned. Like it's like you better be great at drafting because everything on your defense is going to be based upon how well you draft and how immediate these guys are going to be able to produce for your secondary, for your linebacker core, etc. And the same argument applies for your offensive line. And whoo, boy, that is not a good situation to be in when you're spending that kind of money. Yeah. You are basically where the Kansas City Chiefs, when they had to pay Chris Jones, they had to pay the tight end, goodness gracious, Kelsey. They had to pay Mahomes, what was it, $70 million a year or whatever it was. It's probably 170. That seems off. But basically you having to pay those 3 big contracts at the same time. That's exactly what's going on here, except it's not wide receiver money. And the wide receiver market is $40 million a freaking year. Like, oof, that is something different, bro. So because of that, I'm just like, all right, y'all put yourself in a different situation to your original point, Herb, because y'all waited 2 years and lost, like, basically you end up paying them 40% more. It's 20% more per person, basically, is what they end up paying by waiting that extra time line.
I'm telling you, they thought they could draft better, and like they went with Burton. If Burton had worked out, they'd be like, oh, there's less pressure to do Higgins. But come on. And then it's funny you mentioned the draft because, again, like, Bo had brought this up. So I went and looked at their draft regrades. I made the mistake, though, of clicking on the Bengals one. So they basically drafted offense, defense, right? but I'm looking at their grades, and like their second rounder was a lineman or defensive lineman, whatever. And I'm reading it, they're like draft, regrade was a D. I mean, it was a B. And I was like, okay, B. But you read it and it's like, well, PFF has him as 170 out of 200. But we saw some good things on tape. So we think, and I was like, oh God, they're talking themselves. Yes.
It's all promise, no substance.
And then, of course, and then, Burton was the next pick. Of course, that was a D, about to be an F. And then the next guy was a corner, and it was the same thing. Yeah, I mean, he didn't play well, but we saw some flashes at the end of the year that we say, so we're giving this one a B too. And I was like, so you're not drafting well, but you're trying to talk yourself into it's a good draft because, like, what else do you have? I guess. So what did we just say earlier about bad general managers and bad drafting? What did we say they do? What did we say they do? They overdraft these guys and they try to hold them like bad gamblers, and I hope that they hit a random splash because they're not good at this. Yep. And what are we seeing happening now? They're holding on to the guys who were good, and that's a good job, but you're bad at drafting. Yes,
this is gonna blow up. There's no way it doesn't. They might get a Super Bowl out of it if they get lucky enough that the NFL is down and everything else, or something crazy because Joe Burrow is just playing like a maniac. That's the Josh Allen argument. I mean, it is what it is. Like, hey, you get hot at the right time, you get an easy enough schedule. I mean, Trent definitely can get a Super Bowl. Everybody else can. I don't know.
That is the whole hope. He's exactly right. You are hoping we get hot one good time and we ride that out and everything pays off. Because otherwise, like you guys said, it's not sustainable for the long term.
Who's Joe Burrow's backup? Who's Joe Burrow's backup? Jake Brown?
Is Jake Brown.
I'm just remember that name. You might need to look at it again.
I mean, he ain't got but 2 plays: throw to Chase, throw to Higgins. I mean,
I know that name because he did well against the Jaguars last year. Unfortunately,
he did all right.
I invite you to check out the depth chart, man. I like Mike Gesicki too. By the way, I don't want to disrespect Gesicki. He was a stud for him last year. So check out the depth chart before we get to Aaron Rodgers. Check out the depth. For the offense, look at it. It's not a lot, and it's very frightening.
It would be.
It's very frightening how many guys they got. Anyway, another story though. But go ahead. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, it's you, bro. Go ahead, man, because I'm Aaron Rodgers tapped out. But
wait, you tapped out of Aaron Rodgers?
Oh yes.
Why? This is a never-ending.
I don't want to go to Darkness camp. I want to go to Darkness camp.
Never-ending bucket of like greatness. Like I love Aaron Rodgers. Yeah,
great conversation. I don't know about greatness.
Oh yeah, not great play. Oh no. I'm not here for great play on the field.
Great
I'm
material.
Here for great conversation. Great material in the media. This is perfect. This is the bowl I eat out of every time I come. I love coming over to this house and talking about this. Like, come on, man, Aaron Rodgers. Oh boy, the fact that he has that personality that he has, the fact that he's out in these streets saying the wild stuff that he says, and the fact that he is still holding these teams hostage and able to, just makes my day, bro. It makes my day that he's even in the communication, in the conversation for possibly being on the Vikings. I know there's kind of rolling with McCarthy and not. We'll see if that's truly the case when you get later into this offseason. But after you get some snaps of McCarthy, like maybe, but
you need to gain some weight. Talking about some snaps, he's gain some weight. He's in the danger zone right now. He's in crack territory right now. You need to gain some weight.
Yeah, so we're talking about Pittsburgh, and I'm like, yo. Pittsburgh?
Please go to Pittsburgh. Please.
Oh my gosh. But I like Mike Tomlin. Like I'm a fan of his. And he's a black man in America. We ain't got but so many ones that I'm just like, oh yeah, man. You're
trying to get him fired. That's what you're doing, send him over there. You're trying to get him fired.
I can't have Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin out here talking about. I don't even know what that conversation would look like, bro.
I want to know who gets killed first in that little with you got Aaron Rodgers and you got Pickens and you got DK Metcalf out there. Oh, somebody going. The first time he looks over and tries to throw one of them two under the bus, there's a fight in the locker room. That's the stuff. I feel bad for Tomlin because I do love Tomlin. Every point you just made is valid. But that locker room is the most combustible locker room if you add Rodgers to it.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I need them hard knocks. I need to see the MMA fights.
Don't forget about Cam Hayward. He don't play none of this. He already been on the. He already got quotes out here already about Aaron Rodgers already.
Yeah. So y'all sold me. Y'all just sold me. Y'all sold me. That's why he needed to go to Pittsburgh. He needed to be in Pittsburgh.
Cam Hayward need this to happen. Cam Hayward is a captain and the leader on this team. And he's like, we ain't got time for no darkness retreats. We're trying to win games. We ain't play.
Oh yeah.
I don't want none of that crap.
No.
His words.
Mike Tomlin Mike Tomlin might choke him out for skipping all the training camp. Like when Rodgers goes on that retreat.
I'm viewing this from a different perspective now. Now that you sold me on the fact that he needs to be in Pittsburgh, now I'm like, wait a minute.
That's her. I never said he need to be there.
He need to be there.
It's good drama for us to talk about.
I don't know Mike. I don't know Tomlin Mike personally. It is what it is, bro. You talk about him. Let's go down this trail now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are good for one thing. They trying to run that ball. And they trying to run ISO routes. They generally avoid the middle of the field as far as vertical routes are concerned. They just run a lot of option routes with their tight end. Cool. You know who else does that pretty exclusively? Aaron Rodgers. That's all he built his career off of. He don't read defenses. That man run ISO routes to these receivers down the sidelines. But you know who's going to be real good at that? George Pickens and DK Metcalf. You know what? That actually works out pretty well overall. Because one guy avoids the middle of the field to save his life, and one team historically runs exactly that. So that might work out if Aaron stays healthy. I'm gonna let's go down that line just for a second. Let's just give it some real thoughts. And I'm like, they're gonna hate him. They're gonna beat his ass. But overall, it might work if he can see out of his left eye after get punched a few times, like throughout the early season of training camp. After you get past that point, he's gonna realize his place, and then it might actually work out. They might be going on these ayahuasca retreats together.
All I got is I'm hearing about his post career because he's contemplating being a commentator, and I'm reading that nobody wants him around. He is considered insufferable. They don't want to work with him, so he's not going to be a commentator or analyst no time soon, bruh. This might be all you got left.
Is that different than Jordan?
People
hated Jordan.
Yeah, man.
Let's keep it a buck.
That wasn't the same thing. Let's keep it 100. That wasn't the same thing, man.
It ain't the same thing because Jordan wasn't out here in politics because he knew his role. But black people have issues with Jordan because he wasn't supporting the culture. Like, can we talk about that? Like, it ain't got to be the same to be.
You can be an analyst and not support the culture. Look at Gus Johnson.
People didn't want to see Jordan talk because people ain't like Jordan, the person. Just no different than people don't like Rodgers, the person. Because sometimes when you all in on this is who I am and this is who I built my whole identity around this person and I'm gonna make this work. Sometimes that means I don't want to be around you.
Okay, one's more of a plan. The other one's more like, let's see how I feel today. It's not really a plan. And Rodgers doesn't have a plan with this whole identity thing. There's no plan to this. It's kind of, hey, whatever I feel, what if I feel like the doctor's retreat?
Who he is. I just think this is who he is. Dude, his family don't like being around him. His ex-teammates don't like being around him. What else is there? Like at this point, it's all about winning. This is who I am. I am a winner. And I'm going to keep playing this game until I die on the field because I am a winner at my core.
Okay.
This is how I think of myself.
Sound like a plan. Die on the field. That's like a plan.
Hey, that works things.
Die in the locker room. Okay.
Hey,
have it your way. Have it your way, Burger King. Have it your way, Burger King. All right. Have it your way. This was fun, man. I love you guys, but this was too much fun, man. We got to do this again real soon, man. But Trav, Herb, let everybody know where they can find your work, man. You guys are doing awesome things out there. Tell everybody about it, and we're gonna run out of here, man. Go for
it. Sure. I got it. BigCatCountry.com. You see it right here. BigCatCountry.com covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we also have the Duval Dive podcast. We're trying to grow this bad boy. So if you are into any, like even remotely into the Jacksonville Jaguars conversation, or maybe you want to think about drafting the Jacksonville Jaguars person in fantasy football next season, like and subscribe. What's up, man? Come on.
Brian Thomas.
Mind your business. You said Brian Thomas. That's it. That's one person. Hey, that's cool. Maybe we'll draft somebody else you'd be interested in drafting. Come on, man. Don't be a hater. Like and subscribe.
I'm not a hater. I've liked and subscribed, so they do a good job. I'm talking
to the young man next to you who's shaking his head. No, Brian Thomas only.
I subbed you over a year ago, man. I'm your friend. I've been subbed you.
Tank Bigsby exists. Maybe Travis Etienne. We'll see if he's still there. Tank Bigsby exists. Trevor Lawrence, if you give him another receiver, this might be bad. This might be like legitimately good. Like because Diome Brown as a third wide receiver would be a good situation. As your third receiver? Come on, bro.
Great t-shirt out there though. Tank Bigsby exists. Get it. Market it. It's fantastic.
It's a winner.
Go ahead, Herb.
Herb Raj podcast. You can check us out on YouTube. Like and subscribe there. And then you see our Twitter handle, Raj_Herb. Come check
Awesome
us
stuff,
out.
man. And we are getting ready to launch an All Giants podcast. Been a dream come true since I started podcasting because I want to vent about this team as much as I want and go in on the organization. Get a chance to do that now, so we're gonna be seeing that coming real soon, maybe even this month. So be on the lookout for that, along with the rest of our shows. But thank you guys for watching us and listening. You've been fantastic tonight. Love all the insights to anybody that's been checking us out on all of our social media platforms. We appreciate you guys. Trav, Herb, you guys are fantastic. Shane, we love you, man, wherever you are. Hope all is well. And we'll talk soon, man.